What is going on out there with all this erectile dysfunction, and why are so many men suffering? One of the biggest reasons, before we talk about magnesium, which is an internal thing, is the external thing, meaning the environment we're in. There's a lot of harm being done. One of the most powerful things you can do for libido and erectile dysfunction is to start wearing EMF underwear or boxers or whatever. And buy a few pair. Don't wash them a lot. Like it sounds like not, but there's a way to do it because it degrades the material. And so you can wear boxers over some normal underwear or whatever, and then you wouldn't have to wash those very often, or you'd buy enough pair to where you could kind of keep those for a while, and they wouldn't get dirty because of the way that like you wouldn't wear them doing sport. You just wear them, for other activities, and where you're not sweating or whatever. So there's a way to do it. It sounds like a little off at first when I'm speaking to it, but there is a way. And when you get the power of it, when you start to feel like what it's doing, that will convince you, and that'll drive you forward. You won't even care what like how you have to do it, how you have to make it work. So you got to get outside the box a little bit with some of this stuff. And if you can afford it and you can buy as many as pairs as you want or whatever, well, then that's just your own luxury. So, but it's even possible to do on a limited budget. But you just have to think about this stuff first. And so that's one of the biggest tricks as far as the external controlling the environment and everything. I mean, food plays a key role too. You have to stay high in K2. K2 is very important for libido and erectile dysfunction. So, and the problem with K2 is it's hard to find. So, you can get it from natto pills that are extracted from natto. You can also get it from foie gras if you can order that, like online from France or maybe Canada, and try to find a source of that and stay on that. You can also get it some people get it also from durian, which is interesting. It has that same smelliness that natto has. The vegetal form of K2 has this smelly, sticky kind of thing, but it actually tastes really good. And then one of the easiest ways is to use emu oil from Walkabout brand, which you can find online. And this you take like 2 teaspoons a day, and this actually helps build that up. So that's another key important internal thing that we have to get beyond deficiency before we can troubleshoot. That's why magnesium is so key, because the circulatory role it plays and the chelation of toxins the roles it plays there. And so we have to be on top of these things, especially our deficiencies. A, D, E, and K, the fertility vitamins. They're called the fertility vitamins for a reason, because not just because we're fertile, but they also contribute to libido and erectile functioning and the sexual functioning of so we need to up those too, and those are best found in liver, like chicken liver, stuff like that. It's hard to find soy-free livers, but even like Whole Foods, I think you can pull off these livers. They'll work to a certain degree. You can also up your game into soy-free if possible, and order online for that. But the liver is a key part. I mean, even liver pills if you can't handle liver or whatever, or cod liver oil also helps with that. They have, but you make sure it's fermented. Don't get fish oil. Don't get most of this stuff. Get fermented. It has to be sacred products, otherwise they don't work. Some people go to Russian shops and buy little cod livers in cans, and they eat the cod livers. That works too. So there's a few ways to do this for low budget, high, there's different ways, but these things need to be turned up. And so when they're turned up, another way that you can do the cod liver oil replacement is called Batarga, which is like a fish egg pouch, and it's like fermented fish eggs. They're like bright orange, and you cut into them, and this is very powerful too. This was used as a medicine in Phoenicia, and they're about $20-$30 a pop for one of these guys, so they're a little more on the pricey end, but if you can do once a month, you're already pushing something, getting some interesting active selenium and active vitamins that you can't get through supplements. It's really interesting what we can get in the real state, but we have to learn how to find these old sacred foods and be very picky a bit on our discernment and how we choose and source and everything like that. So I wanted to read you something about magnesium and erectile dysfunction that I found interesting on our own website, theheartoftradition.com, on an article that was written by me. I'm a naturopath and have been studying all sorts of different esoteric nutrition and deeper levels of how to get deeper and deeper into what was given to us by posterity and the foods that we had, instead of trying to find, there's something, the milk's bad, the wheat's bad, and it's like, no, we have to find the right milk, the right wheat, and we have to let nature work on that a little bit. So we have to find the right combinations to where we can maintain ourselves in the future and not just move away from things. We have to fix these things, It's like, I remember one time my futon got broken. A friend of mine, he was a really handyman, and he said, well, how did it break? And I'm like, why does it matter? And he's like, well, that's how you know how to fix it. And so there's some truth to that, how something broke is important to know. You can't just move on from whatever. So I'll just read this here, these 5 bullet points. So magnesium releases bound testosterone and makes it more bioactive. This happens because the mineral inhibits SHBG, sex hormone binding globulin, the molecule that binds to free testosterone, making it unavailable for receptors. 1 gram of magnesium is sufficient to increase free testosterone levels by 24% in combination with intense exercise. In a study of 400 participants, researchers found that in older men, elevated levels of serum magnesium via blood analysis correlate with higher levels of testosterone. The result of this study review can be summarized by the clear sentence, there is evidence that magnesium has a positive influence on anabolic hormonal status, including testosterone in men. In this study, researchers found that Gittleman's syndrome, which causes imbalances in magnesium and calcium levels, often results in delayed puberty in young boys. This delay in puberty would probably be caused by low levels of testosterone, caused themselves by low levels of magnesium and calcium. So these are all sourced as well. The sources are online, so if you want to find them, go to theheartoftradition.com and click on the male. There's male, female, different benefits or whatever. Click on the male side and you'll see this. I mean, it works for women as well, of course, but just kind of trying to, put that there. There's a lot of double, in both of those sports for women, sports for men, stuff like that. But so yeah, and then its role in detoxification is very important because the detoxification is what's going to keep the system functioning smooth and the right circulation and the blood is the key to everything as far as disease is concerned, and how thick it is, thin, sweet, and finding that right balance, mineral balance and everything. This is what's going to create the right system. So a highly nutritive and fast and dynamic system. So the synthesis, magnesium is required for the synthesis of primordial antioxidant glutathione, the great detoxifier of the organism, transporting a number of nutrients through the membrane into the cells. Magnesium is required for improving insulin secretion and to help transport it into the cells, to eliminate damage to DNA generated by environmental mutagens and toxins as active transport of calcium and potassium ions through cell membranes, stimulate the potassium-sodium pump on the cell wall, triggering the cellular cleaning process. This is huge. It just sounds like a little blip on the screen, but it's a big deal. The cellular level detoxification that magnesium, especially magnesium chloride, unlike magnesium sulfate, which seems to surround itself on the exterior, extracellular detoxification, like Epsom salt and stuff like that. Okay, so that, in a larger sense, you could say Epsom salt detoxifies the bath when you're in the bath, but it's at a surface level detox. This is actually trying to get into the body. Transdermal magnesium, for example, which is what we sell in the glass bottles, and only from the Zechstein, true Zechstein. There's ancient, and there's all sorts of fake brands out there that are using uncertified or self-certified claims and pretending to be from Zechstein because it's not a legal term, so you can pretend that you come from there and there's no consequences. So you have to find the Zechstein Inside logo. There's only one place in Holland, Vindam is the name of the city. No one will ever tell you the name of the city that these things come from because most of them come from Asia and then they're remarketed to look like they're not. And then you can have this whole range of products and you can sell them. But the real problem is they have been solvent extracted and chemically treated. So the chemical treatment to remove certain things out of the potassium mining industry that has magnesium as a derivative, they call that upgrading. So they upgrade the magnesium, but now it's been denatured, it's sterile, and so it doesn't have the same capacity at the cellular level to detoxify modern toxins, including endocrine disruptors, acid residues that cause aging, the sodium-potassium pump as well, magnesium-potassium pump, which is part of that, like how we move when we have cramps, how that toxin gets out of the muscles, the cramp, that's what we're feeling. So the magnesium chelates this and brings it out through the sweat glands. So the chelation power with aluminum and other heavy metals is more important when it hasn't been solvent extracted because it's There's nothing surrounding the molecule, and also the fact that but it hasn't been sterilized to not surround it, right? So it's naturally in its natural state. It's not been like, they do that because there's solvents. They use solvents because there's heavy metals and potassium and different things that are stuck to the magnesium, and they need to get rid of that so they can use really base, cheap chalk and turn it into magnesium, so to speak. And so when you have a natural state stone called bischofite, which is transparent, and found in nature as that, then you have this solid magnesium chloride molecule ready to go, and so that's what we have, and it's it's a game changer at the molecular level, and it's the biggest deficiency in the world, so important from circulation at a deeper level. It's a molecular game changer. And so to continue, it also protects the brain and heart from the toxic effects of chemicals, protects the cells from aluminum, mercury, lead, cadmium, beryllium, and nickel. Hello, smog. Hello, all the things in the air. Hello, pretty much, I'm not saying these are all the ingredients of a catalytic converter, but there's a few of those in there from the catalytic converter, which is on every car, pushing all that out into the, if you know how a catalytic converter is high pressure and it's high heat, and it's like a smash moment like that, and that brings that stuff out. And so catalytic converters can be found not just on cars, on incinerators and intakes and power company outputs, exhaust. And so you have like all these areas that you can put these catalytic converters, these aluminum. Anyway, so we have a lot of this stuff in the air, and we got to clean it out. The detoxification and chelation of heavy metals, and the elimination of toxic ammonia from the body. So yeah, magnesium is going to be a big game changer. You have to get the levels up right. And a lot of people feel like, I'm good. I'll take some pills, or I'll eat some chocolate and bananas. And it's like, no. We're all deficient. If you're over 30, you're deficient for sure, 99%. And so if you're under 30, you're at like 85%, 75%. It's still high. So it's just because it's not in the soil anymore. Go take your Parmesan and go compare it to 100 years ago Parmesan and measure the magnesium in it, and then watch the drop. It's just an invisible deficiency because of soil and the usage and how the monoculturing and the farming practices and no compost and all these things that we're doing on a worldwide scale at a very small level now. I mean, compost is like 1% of our farming model, right? So how are we putting that magnesium back into the soil? So this is getting us in trouble on all scores. So trying to come back from that, the best way is to use our ancestors. I mean, they knew, the Greeks and Romans, they developed the spa and bath culture. They put it on the skin. They knew it recharged their batteries. They didn't have all the science behind it, but even the Spartans used the water of magnesia. And the origin of the bath culture was in a place called Magnesia in Greece. And if you look at Spa in Belgium, that's the name of a city. It's not we call it Spa now, but that was a city. So was Bath in England. All these areas had particularity in the mineral composition of the water, and magnesium was high there. Sulfur was also a part too, but the magnesium was the key element. It was the first element as far as internal. The sulfur, like I said, being in the sulfate category, this is more of an external detox, and the way that it works, it's an exodus, and whereas the magnesium itself actually is trying to go in as deep as possible and then chelate, come back out. So knowing this stuff and doing it right, spending about 6 months to a year just doing the transdermal magnesium all over the upper body before you shower, 20 minutes before you shower, letting it get in, then showering, and doing this every day for like 6 months, and just build out of the deficiency. And then you won't need to use it as much after that. It's not that expensive. It only costs $3 a week to do it right. So watch out for like $7 and stuff like that. Ours is $25. Do it right. It lasts 2 months. And just get the right stuff. That's the key to this stuff, is quality changes everything. I mean, like my air purifier, it can filter 0.03 microns. And most of the air purifiers on the market that are half the price can only filter like 3 microns. So that difference changes everything, especially what we know now about particulate matter, that it's the smaller the nano and the smaller the particles, that the more dangerous they are. And so we're paying half the money, $400, but we're getting ripped off for the total effect. And we're going through all this air filtration stuff and sleeping with the air pure. We're going through all the same motions, but we're not getting the full effect, the full spectrum. So do it right. Come check us out at theheartoftradition.com.